Cool. Alright. Sup, bros?
Sup, bros? We're back at it with our fifth podcast.
Fifth podcast?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yep, fifth podcast.
Fifth podcast. So, with Adelaide, we went in our second lockdown.
Second lockdown, yep. Lasted a whole 1.5 days.
No, 3 days, wasn't it? It was 3 days. We're supposed to be locked down for 6. We've done 3.
Well, it was effective. Was it Saturday midnight? Wasn't it?
Or was it Sunday? I can't remember.
Yeah, so basically not that long.
And
It was like wasn't it Wednesday midnight? Might have been Wednesday midnight.
no, it was Monday because we went to the beach. Remember?
Went to the beach Monday. It happened Tuesday, and then it was effective Monday.
Yeah,
No,
Monday night.
Not Monday night, Wednesday.
Yeah.
So it's Friday now.
Yep. So we did it.
We did it.
We did it. Second lockdown. But it was all a hoax. It was all.
Yep.
It was lied. The
Lies,
tracing
deceit.
Was a lie. But I didn't really want to talk about it too much because I have no idea what's going on.
Oh yeah,
Really?
No, I don't think too many people do. But anyway, if you like the content, please subscribe. This image here shows that the under half of you are not subscribed, and you should subscribe if you want to watch more content.
Yes. Yes. Always subscribe.
Always subscribe. We don't say it at the start of the video, and I think we should.
Okay. All right. That's fair. But yeah, no. Well, I wanted to talk about what the next 10 years is going to sort of look like because of what's happened in the last few days.
Okay.
And what it was funny that you started playing Detroit
Yeah.
as well today.
Yeah.
You were just like, oh, I'm just going to play this today. And it was like, oh, well, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today actually as
Yeah.
well. Because it's interesting how that game framed what the future's going to be like.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you think from a marine biology perspective?
Well, within the next decade, I feel like, in terms of everything, if we don't start fixing, not being like fully like save the turtles, save the ocean, but like we need to reduce carbon emissions to stop heating up the planet like exponentially. So we need to stop climate change.
Plateau that.
Because if we don't, everything in the ocean is pretty much going to die.
Interesting.
Because, like, the basic organisms rely on, like, certain temperatures and, like, salinities. And if that's just changing...
And acidity.
And acidity.
Yeah.
So, like, that's what happened with the coral. It got...
Yes.
Like, the temperature got too high and the zooxanthellae on the coral...
Which
died.
gives it its vibrant colour.
Yeah, died. And it's basically sunscreen for them.
Right.
So that's what protected it from the UV rays and like.
Yeah.
So they died. So then the Great Barrier Reef, all like the coral, is just died. Well, not all of it.
Or slowly dying.
Slowly dying. So there's a huge push to get like coral, all that coral back there and they're growing all that. So that's really good that they're doing that because if they left it, then that the whole Great Barrier Reef would have just been dead.
Killed. Yeah, right. That's pretty significant.
That is very significant. It's like one of the biggest coral reefs
ever,
like in the world.
Yeah, right.
Just imagine that just being lost. Just because we fucked the planet.
Have you done any other projects that have highlighted certain specific issues that we need to attend to urgently?
Urgently? Well, I know we need with fossil fuels and like oil, a lot of oil spills. Well, not a lot of oil spills, but oil spills occur. And oil spills are really bad.
Yes.
Like, really bad.
Yes.
So I was doing a project and it was about sea otters, and then I was looking up a bunch of research, and then there was like, oh yeah, there was an oil spill in Alaska or like North America, and the oil spill just like wiped out sea otters almost, and
Entirely from that area.
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And then so since that place was like a kelp forest, so sea otters
Would
predate on
yeah.
sea urchins and sea stars, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're not there, then the sea urchins and all that, they grow in abundance, and then they just wipe out the kelp.
Yeah.
They just
yeah.
eat it all.
Yeah.
There's nothing to eat them.
Yeah.
So
Keep their population in control. So
Yeah.
they were like the
they're a keystone species.
yeah.
Yeah. So I did that, and then I also with water quality, which oil spill greatly affects, is seagrass.
Yeah.
So if there's a layer of like oil on top and there's seagrass under it, the seagrass can't get any sunlight.
Yeah.
So, because seagrass is actually a plant, it's not any algae, so it's not adapted perfectly to living in the ocean.
Yeah.
So it still needs to photosynthesize.
Yeah.
All that. So, and it's got like basic root systems. It's not like algae, which has been adapted to. It basically went onto land. So it started in the ocean, onto land, and then adapted to be on land, and then went back in the ocean.
Fair enough. That's an interesting life cycle.
Oh yeah, it was whack. But so, and seagrass beds just like die, and that's like a whole ecosystem again.
Yeah.
And then so seagrass actually mitigates wave energy along the coast, and if there's so it reduces that by quite a bit. And if that seagrass bed is it dies, then all the sediment gets released on all that it was holding, gets released onto the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd think that would be a good thing. So we have more sand. No, it actually increases the wave energy and increases the effect of like sand drift, which is just horrible.
Yes. Yes. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from like obviously you've studied this for the last 3 years.
Yep.
Um
So close to it being done.
yeah, how are we going to
Also, pollution is, I reckon, one of the main factors in which is like killing the most marine life now.
yeah.
So I would say reducing that where possible, which South Australia has done really well by banning single-use plastics.
Yeah.
Like that, I was so happy that they did that.
I think South Australia is very progressive in a lot of those sort of environmental views. Considering the event that happened, I think it was a year and a half ago, where they wanted to drill in the Great Bight.
Oh yeah.
And we were like, nope,
no, that was such
not
a bad
happening.
idea.
Just not a good idea. That we're not destroying our coast.
Yeah,
line,
no.
please.
Because if they did that, they would not like it would destroy the coast, but like the southern right whales that like migrate along here,
Yeah.
they wouldn't
Do that anymore.
do that anymore, and then
Yeah.
so that's the like breeding ground is like down here.
Yeah. Right.
So they wouldn't breed here. So where else would they breed? They wouldn't. They'd just be like,
Oh, there's a big fucking drill here.
yeah, can't do anything here without like dying. So yeah.
Yes. My next question was going to be, so how do we go about informing people and instigating action in climate change?
Well, in climate change, it's kind of hard because you need a lot of like legal authority and like research, like so much research to actually get the point across that like climate change is a bad thing.
Which sounds so dumb because we've
Very much so.
all that I remember through high school and primary school, any schooling in general in Australia,
Yeah.
climate change has been affecting us for the last 30 years.
Oh yeah, it's been affecting us since like the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, and paper after paper after paper proving that the trajectory is not looking good
And it's getting worse.
and it's getting worse. For us to for us to make that change, why is it so fucking difficult?
I know. It's just the way that I see it. It's more the rich get richer, that sort of thing. Like, oh, money. We need more money to do this, and then it's just like we need more money, and then they're just not doing the thing.
So
that
it's a mindset thing. Do you think?
I think so. Yeah. Because
How do you? So it's
how do you
well,
change that?
Well, no. So my idea, or the way that the thing that comes to mind in that we need to inform people, so then when they get to those positions of power,
Okay.
that we are already like. No offense to the current political climate, but there's no hope.
Yeah.
Essentially, what we're looking at isn't good because, like you said, it's just money, 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 and they're not doing anything with it because
Yeah. They're just like, yeah, we'll just.
rich is getting richer.
Yeah.
So eventually they're gonna move on and die and whatever.
Yeah.
However,
They do that.
whatever happens with their life, whatever. But the new people in power
Yeah.
is where we're gonna see a lot of change happen dramatically. Like it's gonna instigate change, and there's gonna be a cascade. So, like, how do we go about informing those types of people before
That. Yeah. Okay.
they get
So.
in there? So they're not like Lee
Yeah.
to go, oh, I like all this money.
Yeah. So the thing is, as soon as you were like talking, something came up. It was like the people who want to change the world become scientists, because that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like, you don't have people that want to change the world necessarily going, oh, actually, yeah, they want to change the world, not in terms of like climate change or, well, there is a few, but there's less positions of power focused on climate change at the moment. So I feel like if we put more information about why we need to fix climate change now, which the documentary that David Attenborough did recently was amazing.
Very good at putting that message across, but
And putting that on Netflix.
yes,
Great
idea.
Great idea.
Um,
And like the amount of posts that I saw from people being like, we need to fix everything that we're doing. And so that was a really good like push. Mm-hmm. That was like awesome because it's on Netflix. Almost everyone has Netflix.
yeah.
Everyone loves David Attenborough. Like, man's a genius. And him showing that emotion that he, like, that emotional journey that he's been through.
Well, it's his whole life. It's
Yeah.
just him talking about his life, which is touching because it obviously brings a human side to the whole story, which it dearly needs.
Yeah.
Because I think we need more individuals invested in the cause rather than a group movement.
Yeah.
Because individuals are going to be the ones who instigate developing group movement.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
So you need, like, leaders that have that point of view of we need to save the planet.
Yes.
We need that.
As our baseline.
Yeah, as the baseline. And then we need all the scientists to figure out what we can do to, and like, so the people that I've been with like, and met in marine biology, they all want to like save the planet by researching all these different things, but they also want to research things that they like, which is fair enough. Like, I want to do that. Like, I want to research sharks, but how am I going to do that in terms of also
making a career or like,
and also like saving the planet, because I would really like to do that, but I also really want to research sharks. So if I can find a connection between like
both
how the climate change is affecting sharks, that would be amazing, because that would be like perfect.
That's the research that you really want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it may not necessarily be researching sharks, it might be researching their prey and like that sort of stuff.
Yeah, or just
And
like
how-
the environment that they're in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the hierarchy and stuff. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. But I feel like there's a lot of people that want to change the planet, but they're becoming scientists more than they're becoming people that want to, like, in the government.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, like, if you think about it, I feel like there's more scientists than there are people in the government that push for climate. Like,
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's like how do we move the body of research that's currently being taken place?
yeah.
How do we move that to then start applying it?
Well, I know...
Obviously, it's being applied.
Yeah, yeah.
As you're researching it. Like,
Yeah.
Obviously, that's the experimental method.
Yeah.
But in applying it to more general households, I guess.
Yeah.
Because that's where, if we can get
the general public to...
consider the environment in their daily practice, surely that's going to make a huge shift in the right direction.
Yes, that would. So if we can get the general public to, like, stop using single-use plastics, start eating, like, foods that don't, like the farming industry is also one of, like, the biggest CO2 producers. 'Cause,
And
like,
polluters.
And polluters, yeah.
In just like the manure
Oh, yeah, it's not good.
pollution and stuff
like-
in the local environment
Yeah.
that the farms are located in.
But, like, I still eat chicken because I'm like, chicken's good. But then I'm like, I shouldn't keep doing this. But I keep doing it. So, yeah, we need to stop polluting in terms of, like, rubbish. But, like, we also need to change the way that we eat food. And I know that's really difficult because I love meat. But it's so bad.
Yeah, and how we fundamentally use stuff.
Yeah.
Because there's, like, a good exercise for bringing, I don't know, like, wasteful awareness would be going through your day and taking note of what is one use.
Yeah. And there was a show on the TV, like, I think it was like 1 or 2 years ago, that did a really good job of pushing for that, because there was a full, like, street of people, and they were using, like, tons of, like, their rubbish bins, like, they had 2 or 3 rubbish bins full of, like, shit that they didn't use, and they would get rid of and waste. So, and, like, they did it, like, over a month or, like, 6-month period, where they, like, got them to reduce the amount that they waste,
Yeah.
and they got it down to, like, half a bin, like, a week.
Yeah, well, because that's when I put the bins out, most of the time we're half a bin a week of waste.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good.
For 3 people.
For 3 people.
Yeah.
And, like, me and Beth, we're pretty good because it was about the same as well.
Yeah.
Which is, like, good for a household.
Yeah. But, like...
But we're sort of... We have that in consideration when we're going about our daily life. That's
Yeah.
something we at least consider.
Yeah. So I feel like that would be a good point, that, like, to reduce that. Yeah.
In the general population.
In the general population, if we get that, that would be like optimal. But then we would also need to stop using fossil fuels, switch to electric cars, which I feel like the like Australian government really don't want to do, even though, like, I think it was in Sweden or Greenland, they've completely switched over to electric cars.
Yeah.
And there was no problems.
Yeah, and I think...
No problems.
Was it 2 years ago in London when they just did all the taxis electric?
Yeah.
Same
deal.
Same deal.
Yeah.
And, like...
But, like, if you think about it here, like, a Tesla car, that's, like... I'm not going to get a Tesla car because that's way too fucking expensive.
Yes.
So it needs to also become more affordable, and like the normal
Australia
car
is
brands.
it's very expensive to live in Australia, which also makes us as a general population very wasteful.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Ideally, like you said, it would be a lot less to get an electric car, and every house would have solar panels. But in saying that,
Solar panels now are actually not that expensive compared to when they were.
No, and I did a little sort of experiment on the train a couple days in a row where I took note of how many houses had solar panels.
Okay.
From looking out at the train.
Yeah.
More, I would say it's probably like 50-50.
Okay.
It's good. Like 50-50 in South Australia, which
That's
is good.
That is good.
Which is good.
And
which
I know there's... I remember we passed it on the way to Port Lincoln. There's this one solar panel that they have. It's like a decent sized solar panel, but it generates like so much power because they've got it always facing the sun.
Yeah.
And it's like optimal pathing with the sun. It just collects as much as it can, and it awesome. Looked sick as.
That's pretty cool. And
but it would have been expensive.
Like, I think South Australia is particularly ahead in the regard, and we've probably been like lucky that we had the battery system from Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Which would make the next step in transitioning to
how did he
not using fossil fuels more viable.
Yeah. Well, did that get installed?
What do you mean?
Is it installed?
It's finished. It's all done.
Okay.
That was ages ago.
Yeah, I thought so. Well, I just heard news that he was like, I don't know.
Did you just notice that we stopped having blackouts as well?
Yeah, true.
Because that was one of the things that was SA was really bad for. It's just
every time thunderstorm,
electric. Yeah.
Blackout.
Yeah, exactly.
True. Yeah, that's a good point. Wow, I didn't realize that. Yeah, I knew, but then I heard that like the PM at the time was like, maybe we won't do this. It's like,
why not?
Why? Why would you not do this? He's just giving it to you, installing it, and he's just like, yep. Why would you not do that?
Yeah. Anyway, transitioning on. I wanted to talk about Ken Wilber's theory, which I've been sort of obsessed with over the last few days, which is an interesting concept and it's like a sort of
Ken Wilber's theory
of everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of everything.
Of everything. Right.
Yeah. So I'll get it up on my computer so at least we have a visual, and then we'll just edit it in the podcast later.
Yeah.
But essentially I wanted to start with the quadrants, where you've got the 4 quadrants, which is I, it, we, and it's.
Okay.
So I'll start with the I, because you've just got 7 levels, which is like the 7 chakras.
Uh-huh.
So through just development of a human being, you just go through the stages of like sort of beige, instinctual. So you've got a lot of, like, you would understand you've got these instinctual sort of drives that develop when you're very young.
Yeah.
And then all this stuff happens sort of like when you're young.
Yeah.
And then you've got like the magic conceptualization of the world. So like believing something, if like, remember when you were a kid, if you wished something would happen, like that was something that you thought if you wished something would happen, it would happen.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The magic concept sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then you think of like a lot of like the Disney...
Wish Upon a Star sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. You get it. And then you get the sort of like egocentric, which is like the... I think Lily's just gone through this phase, the 3-nager, where it's sort of like me, everything's about me.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That toddler tantrum sort of...
Give me what I want, or I'll cry about it.
Yeah. And then you've got the mythic self, and then the achiever self. So it's sort of like the mythic self, which is when you start playing like roles, like with your friends, if that makes sense. Like when
Like
you role
archetypes.
play, like
Archetypes.
personal archetypes. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then
So you have like the funny one, the smart one, the like class clown,
or the king
or
and
the
the
king.
queen
Yeah.
and the jester. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then the achiever self. So that's when it's like the rational self comes in.
Okay.
Where you start to think about the world through a little bit of like a more clearer lens.
And like how your actions,
rationalize things.
how your actions can affect others, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and that's pretty much when like you go, Santa's not real.
Yeah.
That whenever that age was for you, like
I feel like mine was. Well, mine was before yours because you found out and then you told me.
yes,
And you're like, yeah, it's just mum and dad. And I was just like,
but you were able to understand that.
yeah.
You were cognitively ready for it. But even though you still believed it, like you just hold on to that sort of stuff as a kid. But anyway, and then you get to sort of like the sensitive self where you start to be aware of your emotions and how you operate in the world and whether or not you're anxious or stressed or sort of like you intuit more about yourself.
Okay.
And then you get the...
How many stages are we up to? Are we up to 6?
That was 6. So
Okay.
that's like the first tier of development. That's what Ken Wilber conceptualizes as first tier. The different...
That was gross.
Yeah, sorry. The differences between first tier and second tier is that the first tier thinks through each stage it's right. Like, it's fundamentally right and everyone else can go to hell.
Haha.
That's the belief that you have when you're going through the first sort of stage. You
Gotcha.
go like the sensitive self, like, whatever. It's and then you move on to integral self where
This is pretty complex stuff.
oh yeah. I've been obsessed with it the last few days / 6 to 8 months.
Yeah. Bit of a jump.
Yeah. And then we'll move on to the integral self, which is where you see a place, like you understand that there's a place through that developmental stage that there is a place for each because it's a partial truth, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like the integral vision eventually, is essentially the understanding that there is a place for everything. Mm-hmm. And there's a partial truth in everything.
Okay.
So it's like a map of operating in the world with an understanding of people and how they operate as well. Because you can sort of identify
so the
people
other one,
at different stages, and then you can sort of you can get the best out of them through their relationships, if that makes sense. Like understanding where people are on the levels.
Yeah, okay.
And moving on to the is just like your body.
That was the 7 stages.
Of your internal of I. And then you've got it.
Is it like things?
It's things, yeah. So it's like
it's like object permanence.
Yes, so organic states, limbic system, your body. Mm-hmm. And then you've just got the 1 through to 8 stages, but that's not very complex. And then the it's is where you've got like what the collective group is oriented to do.
Okay.
So think about throughout history, we had survivalists. So like you think of survival tribes and that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. And then you get to the sort of like the gathering and the agriculture starts to emerge.
Yeah.
And then you get to sort of like feudal empires, which is sort of like
Yeah.
you get the Roman Empire and stuff like that.
Then feudal Japan
Yeah.
and England and all that.
Yeah, which is a stepping stone in then
And like Egypt. Yeah.
into the Industrial Revolution, and then you get the informational age.
Yeah.
So it's progressing through.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
It's like understanding.
So why is it in quadrants? Do you have to go from
It's
like
just-
one to the other, or like do you start in the middle and?
It's in a quadrants just to display it in the most simplest way, because it's very, very complex, as you can already tell.
Yeah.
This is just the simplest way that you can kind of sort of visually see it and understand it. And then so it's in a quadrant form for you to sort of like separate the four.
Gotcha.
And also understand that you move away as you develop, but you can get stuck in stages.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And then moving on to the culture, so then you get
That's the we.
the we, so just like us, cultural stuff. Then you move on to the like archaic, animalistic, magical, power gods, mythic order, scientific, rational, pluralistic, integral, holistic. So
That's just a whole lot of words.
in separating that, it's just like cultural beliefs.
Gotcha.
So-
Okay. That, yeah, alright. Yeah,
So if you have a look at that,
that makes sense.
yeah, we don't believe in the power gods, do we? We're not religious.
No.
So, or we don't believe in mythic order, so we're not like subscribed to. That would be religion still.
Like everything happens for a reason,
Yeah,
sort of thing.
yeah, or following the Bible and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then moving on to the scientific rational.
Yeah.
So, we're both scientists, and then, but we understand the sort of psychology of things, which is the pluralistic cultural view. So that understanding that there's way more than just rational.
Yes. Gotcha.
Like-
yeah, okay.
Def-
It's more than just like
The material
it's
realm.
this because of this.
exactly.
Gotcha.
There's way more than.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. And then moving on to the integral, which is just this understanding that there's a place for everything.
Yeah.
And sort of like that's you're not trying to push your cultural views on people. So what tends to happen is with like pluralistic view is we get caught up in pushing the sensitive self onto people, like, oh, you don't do that because it offends people. That's sort of like the cultural landscape that we're in at the moment.
Gotcha.
Hopefully what will happen is we'll shift to the integral, which is an understanding of there's a place for everything.
Yeah. Cool. Alright. Yep. And what's the last one?
The last one?
Integral. And then holistic. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so holistic is just like, if you think of Buddhist monk states where they like have satori or like states of bliss,
Yeah.
or something like that. It's
Yeah.
just like,
Gotcha.
if you think where you extrapolate that knowledge into a cultural space would be operating in a holistic
Gotcha.
way.
Yeah.
Where you're caring for the world, the environment, because you
Everything.
understand that there's a place for everything,
Gotcha.
and you're not trying to, like, essentially,
Force it.
yeah,
Or like, yeah. Gotcha.
that
Alright.
makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like it's a mapping. It's like a landscape that
Yeah.
you can view the world through.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It brings a lot of clarity for me,
I can see that.
because you're just like, wow, we went through all of these stages, and then depending on where you are located, you would be experiencing a lot of different culture.
Yeah.
So then that like understands, like, for us in South Australia, I feel the culture's quite good in the pluralistic regard, but we probably haven't necessarily transitioned to an integral
Gotcha.
view.
Yeah.
But that's obviously the next step.
Yeah.
But in America, obviously, it's a completely different story where
People still, but not saying that you're not allowed to believe in like God or religion.
there's a lot of pathologies in the regard of people feel the need to
Push that on people.
exactly
Yeah.
where
Like
I don't think that
that's
that's the case in South Australia.
There have been a few people that have like come to the door and pushed it on to people. Like they try to push it onto me, and I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
whatever.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. There are those
Jeez, Lord
people.
Xavier. Yeah, cool. Hopefully I didn't offend anyone there.
Not to say that there aren't those people in South Australia, but the general
It's less
sort of
compared to America, where that's like a whole joke that Mormons on the daily come to your house and push religion onto you.
yes, depending on where you're located and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a lot. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on from that, what's the time?
Probably says 36 minutes.
Okay, cool. We got plenty of time.
Yeah. Or I was just gonna end
That was a good chunk.
little chunk. But moving on. What do you reckon is gonna happen in 2021?
Well, I feel like we're gonna get attacked by aliens, and the world's gonna explode. It's gonna overheat. Well, and like the people that get abducted by the aliens are the ones that are gonna survive. So it's gonna happen. Like that's the only logical step. There's gonna be a final boss, which is in December.
Will appear in 2021.
Yeah, and then 2021 hits, end of the world, rapture. Like, yeah. What's it? Ragnarok. That's gonna happen. The Jormungandr, the world serpent's gonna eat himself.
Wasn't there a meme where the Mayan calendar dude was dyslexic?
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be in 2021
instead of 2012.
Yeah. I feel like we're heading that way. But my theory of the world anyway is that we're moving with this understanding of the world, like we're moving in a way that the rate of change
is increasing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. We're definitely
so with the rate
definitely
of
going in
change
the right direction.
Increasing, does that mean there's more events that are occurring?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Because it takes ages for something to happen, but then once something happens,
it's like a cascading effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good point. Yeah. 2021. I don't know. Well, I know in the next few decades, if we don't fix our shit, then
we're getting to like a pointy point.
No, we're getting to a dead end, and if like there's like a road
I
that
have
we
more
can...
faith in humanity in the regard of
we're at a crossroads.
Yeah.
There's one end that...
It's not a dead end.
Yeah, sorry. Crossroads. There's one path that ensures destruction of the world and we try to escape. Or there's a path where we end up saving the planet and we can still live on it.
Yes.
Because like one way we stay here and we can like work on ourselves technologically at our own pace, or there's one way where we just go into space travel and we just
like interstellar
colonize
essentially.
Colonize the galaxy, that sort of thing, and that'll be like rapid, like because there's going to be a point where we can't save the planet.
We can't intervene. We can still intervene, which unfortunately, that's the nature of humans to procrastinate.
Yeah. So it's going to get to a point where we can't stop the world from like
doing what it's doing.
Yeah. So at that point, we need to go into space travel and like get off the planet.
Yeah. Don't think it's going to get to that point.
I hope not. But if people in power aren't gonna make those decisions to like, which they proven to like, we elected Cheeto Dust Man as president of America. Cheeto Dust Man. He has Cheeto dust everywhere. How did he get president? He did nothing
The
for
current
the
political climate.
He didn't believe it. He
They
didn't believe in climate change. He is the president of America, and he didn't believe that the world was like dying.
Yeah, I think there's like a mindset difference between sort of the generations. Like the people who are in power at the moment think that we can make a 45-degree shift, where the younger generation, they're like, no, we need to make a fucking 180 shift.
And like fix everything. Yeah, but so hopefully that happens. If not, I feel like we're gonna need to get off the planet. But I feel like that's not gonna be our problem.
I feel like 2021 could be the year where that,
Well,
like looking back on it,
yeah,
it could be.
I've seen a lot of like science articles on like, I've followed this Facebook page where it's just like science this week, and it tells you a whole bunch of like things that
New things that are that's
and
happening,
like
yeah.
it's just going.
Yeah.
And like we're finding more stuff in space, we're finding like more stuff like under the ocean. Like we don't know enough. But like the more you know about something,
The less you know about it.
the less you know about it. Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna need to make that decision within our lifetime, but I'm not sure if that will happen.
Don't talk about lifetimes, because it's going to be a funny thing.
Yeah.
It could be like in 20, 30, 40 years, they start cracking the code on why we degenerate. Because it's essentially the life equation is making sure that we're healthy for the longest,
Yeah.
and sick for the least.
Yeah.
And at the moment, what people are experiencing is a lot of sickness without a lot of health.
Yeah. So,
But
okay,
in the next
within the next, like, not millennium, century. Within the next century,
Yep.
I feel like we need to make that decision. Whether we stay and
Here,
fix the planet
or fuck off.
or fuck off. Because, yeah.
I feel like it's not that easy to go one or the other.
No, it's not, and I'm not saying it is, but that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to make the
Because
decision
we're ignoring the environment and climate.
currently. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I think. It's very morbid, but it is what it is. That's what I think. And like, only your actions can lead you on your own path.
Runs on their own journey, sort of thing. Yeah. 2021, for me, I think it's just going to be a whole lot of the same in the regard of constant change. Like,
Do you reckon COVID's going to be around?
Oh yeah, I don't think that's going away.
Yeah, but do you reckon it's going to... Well, I thought we were good, and then we opened up our borders, and we were not good.
The state of the world at the moment is very temperamental, and I think it's just going to continue that way in 2021. We're just going to see more breakdown.
Yeah.
And I just hope that...
Let's just go back to the Stone Age.
Well, there's going to be a disparity for me personally, because I think over the next year, for me, it's going to be a lot of, I don't know, more of the same, which is just uni and focusing on personal development, where the rest of the world is just crumbling.
Going to shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, next year I'm going to be working, So I feel like that'd be a good time to like do some self-reflecting, that sort of thing, figuring out parts of my life, and then going into uni and doing honors and then going into research, and that's like from there just like hit the ground running sort of thing. So that's what I want to do. And I didn't think that I could do that until like early this year, that I could go do honors and go do research straight away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't think I could do that. But now I can. I'm just like, well, I've my mind set on that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Where does the theoretical research take you?
Well, it could take me anywhere. I'm thinking of doing honours, so that'll probably be in either Port Lincoln or WA.
Yeah.
In terms of like places that we could do it.
Mm-hmm.
I would say probably WA because there's more interesting stuff rather than just seals and sharks.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'm hoping, and then from there, I would ideally want to stay in Australia, but if I wouldn't mind going to Antarctica on a field research trip for like a year.
Going to Antarctica doesn't mean that your home base is in Australia.
Yeah, true, but like,
because like going to Antarctica is a bit of a expedition, so
yeah,
obviously that would be your new life for a period of time.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Ideally, I would want to stay in SA or like in Australia. I would like to. I would like to go to the rest of Australia because like we've only been to like Sydney, Queensland, and like along the Great Ocean Road.
And you weren't really looking at the marine biology part.
Oh no, not at all.
Yeah.
So
that's what I find whenever I'm doing things at the moment, is that I get not blown away, but I'm just constantly curious on making things out of a geological lens.
Yeah,
or like viewing things out of viewing things out of a geological lens, because South Australia is such a beautiful part of the world.
Oh yeah. And that's the reason why I can't go to the beach without thinking about marine biology. Because I used to not do that, but every time I've gone to the beach, I'm like just like looking at like the waves and being like, oh, they do that because like there's certain like on the
once you understand why things happen, you're just like, okay, so
always
what's the
thinking
next
about
step?
Always thinking about it,
Yeah.
like, and like the algae species, like the fish species there, and because like we go to Port Nalunga quite a bit, like how the reef is affecting everything, and like we were going to do a research project as a topic at Port Nalunga.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we would have seen like all the fish along like the reef. So that would have been cool, but I'm not sure if that's happening. I hope so, please. That'd be sick. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're coming to the end of your degree now. Do you feel like you've got the tools that you can be able to go out into those environments and do something that you're drawn to?
So I think it was like halfway through third year, I didn't feel like I did.
Yeah.
And then at the end, like now, I feel like, yeah, I feel like I'm ready, even though I feel like I'm not ready at the same time. I'm just like, oh, there's a lot more people that know more things than me. How am I gonna get a job? But yeah. So it's just stuff like that. But
There's
I feel like I'm ready.
A lot more to a job than knowing the things.
Yeah, true. Oh, and there was a lecture that I did a presentation for. And they were like, oh, you incorporated comedy into your presentation. That is an amazing skill. And like that's awesome that you have that.
Yeah, I was going to... There's something that came to mind when you mentioned that people that want to change the world become scientists, it's a little bit unfortunate because then they don't, like, the science environment is very conducive to not developing any other aspects of life other than your scientific pursuit.
Yeah. Yeah,
Where
100%.
scientists then become quite dry.
Yes. So she said that, and I was like, okay. So if I go into research and I give like a seminar, or like, which a lot of, like, when you're doing research, you do a lot of, like, you give people seminars, and so I was just like,
Presentations and stuff, like why what you're doing is important.
yeah, and I was just like, that is awesome to hear from her, that
Yes.
she said that was an awesome skill, and I was like, cool.
Yes.
I feel like
A bit of a reassurance.
Yeah, reinsurance, and like what I want to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And giving your own flavour to it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was very happy to hear that. And I was like, cool. Yes.
Yeah.
That gives me the feeling of like just like a one up on like other people in my field.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of like, yeah. Some of the lectures that we had. It's just like,
Yes, that's what I've found. Oh my god.
okay, we'll not go too far into it.
Yeah, we won't go too far
'Cause
into
we'll just
it,
end up
but it's
complaining.
like, well, I would say it's hit and miss. Like, give a percentage on it, it'd probably say like 60% of the time you're getting a very dry, flavorless person who's giving you the content.
So there's a demonstrator that I know that is very like that. But then as soon as you start talking to them outside of the lecture, then they're really into it. And like they get really excited.
That doesn't make any sense.
I know. And I was just, it's
They,
really,
then they just hate doing the lectures.
yeah. So it's confusing, but he's an amazing demonstrator. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's a struggle to find the energy to engage in a screen,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes a lot.
It does.
But yeah, I've majority of the people are dry, and then
You get the like,
odd.
well, it's
the
not
odd
too.
person.
It's not too odd. That yeah, but yeah, no.
Like when I say odd, it brings people to mind.
Yeah.
You go, oh yeah, that's
I
different.
remember
but,
that lecturer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you remember them for being themselves. Like, I think a lot of what
Yeah.
lecturers fall into is that they go, oh, I need to do this way.
I need to do it this way. I need to
instead
get
of
the critical information to you. Like,
instead of professing their own interpretation of it.
Yeah.
That I find is way more engaging than being like, this is what the book says.
yeah, yeah. No,
It's
yeah.
like, yes, I get what, like, I can go read the book in my own time. Like, this hour is sacred in the regard of you want the personal engagement.
And you actually want people to come to the lectures.
For like,
No, full stop.
yeah.
And so, like, if you don't get people excited or, like, wanting to come back, they're not going to.
Yes. Yes.
It's
and
simple.
I
It's that simple.
Yeah, and I think the COVID state is really putting a test on
That.
the student-teacher relationship
Yeah.
and how effective teachers are in
Online, like, teaching.
yeah,
Yeah.
because they have to bring the engagement.
Yeah, rather than just recording a normal lecture that they would do.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, yeah. All right.
I reckon that's a good place to end it.
Yeah. No, that was good. That was good. I enjoyed that.
Yes, went through quite a bit, and Neo's just having a good snooze.
He's having a fat snooze.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks for watching. If you made it this far.
Yeah, if you made it this far, if you're one of our avid watchers of our podcast, which weirdly get the most views.
Yes.
Even though they're like hours long.
Yes. Well, that's what people are wanting, is the open discussion forum, rather than what they're experiencing, like news or TV or anything like that.
Yeah. All right. Anyway.
Thanks, guys.
Like,
subscribe, share this podcast around if you thought anything was interesting in it. All what we discussed will be in the description as usual.
Yeah. And we'll probably have that.
Yeah, we'll clip in those things that we need to.
Yeah. All right. Sweet as.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks for watching.
Like, subscribe, ring that bell. Thanks for checking out our video. And there should be links all over the place for other content.
Yes.
Thanks for watching.